Hello everybody, and in this video we'll be looking at the secret to NOAA's winter outlook, your U.S. weather action. So, as you may know, NOAA put out their 2019-2020 winter outlook recently, and it does show a large area of above average temperatures across the western U.S., the southern U.S., and also the east coast of the U.S., with about average temperatures in the north central U.S. and also the western Great Lakes. So we're really going to be focusing on temperatures this video, just because that really, does determine what areas do well and what don't during the upcoming winter. So, you may be wondering, why does this outlook differ so much from so many different outlooks you've seen on YouTube or the internet? And, you've probably seen videos, maybe here on the channel or somewhere else, and people backed up their reasoning pretty substantially and seemed pretty realistic. And then here comes NOAA with their, in some ways, I don't want to say the opposite, but just so much different of an outlook, where much of the U.S. has, is covered in above average temperatures. So, what makes the difference? What are they looking at that we aren't? What are we considering more important that they aren't? And vice versa. So, here is the secret to NOAA's winter outlooks almost every year. So, we'll start off by looking at the past 4 years, with 2019 being this winter's winter outlook being in the top left, and 4 years ago in the top, or in the bottom right. So, it's been a recurring theme to see the southern U.S., especially around Texas, in above average temperatures on almost every winter outlook pretty much, as you can see. And especially the northern plains. If there is any area of average to slightly below average temperatures, it's been in the northern plains. You can see 2016, 2017, and even this winter, 2019, about average temperatures. But when you consider a mean of these 4 years, that is where they consider, the highest probability of below average temperatures to be across these 4 years. And if we, take this out to maybe the past 10 years, you'd probably see this continue. And you may be wondering, why is it so common every year? And, even with teleconnections being configured a certain way, it's not like they stay the same. So what causes NOAA to put out such a similar winter outlook almost every year? Last winter, that was relatively different versus the other three. We did have above average temperatures in the northern plains. Didn't work out too well because, believe it or not, there were actually, below average temperatures last year in the northern plains and also the eastern Rockies. So let's look at what goes into NOAA's winter outlook. So we will head over to their website real quick, because this is a rather interesting article that I thought I'd show you all. And it really does do a good job at explaining at least what they consider to be the most important factors behind their winter outlook. So, let's look at, but what if I told you that there is another mysterious thing that, at least for seasonal temperature outlooks, gives forecasters a better idea of what will happen than predictions of ENSO or the MJO, the AO or the NAO, or even the PDO? And I think you get the point. So they name all these different teleconnections, but they're trying to say, what if, they tell us that there's something that matters more than all of these, more than the ENSO, which just seems so unbelievable, just because we think of the ENSO as, the single greatest factor in the winter outlook. But then they used to go on to say it's a lot simpler than all of those. It's called the trend. The trend, and I brought this up in the winter outlook, but I did not cover it, too much, but I did definitely look at the past 10 years. So they go on to mention that, scientists generally like to look at the past 15 years as far as the trend. So let's look at winter specifically. As you can see, the past 15 years, this is from 2013 to 2017. And this is based on 81 to 10. So the warmth that's been over the western U.S., the southern U.S., and also New England, with slightly below average temperatures in the Midwest, also in the Pennsylvania, and about average temperatures in the northern Great Lakes, and then slightly below average temperatures in the northern plains. So you may be thinking to yourself, what? This looks so similar to those past 4 winter outlooks. Well, maybe not last year's, but especially this year's, where we see this axis of below average temperatures, or at least average temperatures in the northern plains and also heading into the Midwest, with above average temperatures in the southern U.S. So, like I just said, they literally say this is climate.gov, this is the same, source that issues our winter outlooks from NOAA, that says that they pretty much consider trends to be more important than the ENSO. That's pretty substantial. That's a pretty substantial thing to say, just because, that goes against what so many meteorologists, so many forecasters think to be, the biggest factor in winter outlooks. So now, let's look at 15-year anomalies. We just did, but this is a little bit of a clear map. So, temperatures on the left, precip on the right. So, as you can see, our area of average to slightly below average temperatures across the past 15 years has been in the northern plains, the eastern Rockies, and into the Great Lakes. Now, if we were to take out 15-16, which was pretty much a blowtorch for the most of the U.S., and that was our Super Nino, pretty much, I'd give it maybe a 3% chance of happening this winter. It's just so unrealistic given that we do not have, even anywhere close to a similar ENSO or a similar extreme ENSO. So, if we were to take that winter out, yeah, it would probably be a little bit colder on this map. But you see that core of above average temperatures in New England, the southeastern U.S., pretty much entirely the southern U.S., and also on the west coast. Precipitation-wise, you see this big area of above average precipitation in the northern plains, into the Midwest, in the Northeast, and then below average precip, especially in California, South Central Plains, and also the Carolinas. So, now, let's compare this to this winter's winter outlook. You'll notice some big similarities. As you can see, look at temperatures, this is the forecast anomalies. Forecast anomalies. It's pretty much the same, You can see that they are seeing maybe the potential for slightly less above average temperatures on the East Coast because they only have 33 to 40% or chance of being warmer than normal, versus in this, it's a little bit warmer than that on the analog. So, this is pretty much the secret behind the winter outlooks. It just comes down to, I guess they consider trends more important than the ENSO, which is, like I said, just unbelievable to actually think that could, be considered more important, because so many of us think that the ENSO and different teleconnections mean more. Obviously, the NAO and the AO and the MJO are pretty much impossible to predict just because they change every single month or every single, or 2 times a month. But this is what it comes down to, and you can see precip is pretty much a similar story in that let's go back to the anomalies. It's just so similar to this forecast for this upcoming winter. So, this pretty much explains the backstory behind this winter outlook from NOAA. So if you're wondering why they pretty much go against what so many of us are saying, in that they have above average temps for much of the U.S., well, they're pretty much using trends over every other possible thing. So that's the explaining. I hope you guys liked this video and thought it useful, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like this content and are looking forward to different forecasts in the upcoming winter. Thanks for watching, everybody.